Hello, 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 and welcome to Nursing News You Can Use at 5. I'm Tina Baxter, and I'm your host. And I want to say welcome to those of you that are watching on our Nurse Shark Academy page on Facebook, and those that are watching our Baxter Professional Services page on Facebook, and those that are watching us on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in today for our show. I want to start off with our affirmational quotes for today, December the 20th, 2023. Our first quote is from Franklin Roosevelt: when you come to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. When you come to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. This is from Norman Vincent Peale. If you want things to be different, perhaps the answer is to become different yourself. If you want things to be different, perhaps the answer is to become different yourself. And it looks like we're having some technical difficulties. So let me double check our feed here. Just got notification from StreamYard. They're having some technical difficulties on the Facebook feed, of course. So let me just go ahead and double check and see what's happening over here. And let's see if we can take a look at this. I was just looking to see. Not sure why our feed isn't going into there, but let's see if we can try this again. So let's double check our feed here. Okay, and I'm not sure what's happening with our Facebook feed today, so let me go ahead and try this again. And see what's happening. So, okay, we're going to go on with our show here on YouTube. I'm not exactly sure what's happening on Facebook, but Facebook has been acting kind of funny lately. So let's go ahead and go on and continue on, and we'll see what happens. Okay. Okay, so let me see if I can do this. If I can remove and remove. And I'm going to re-add and re-add. And let's see if this works. All right. It looks like we are now live on Facebook. I've got the green check marks. And so I do apologize for the technical difficulties. This is what happens sometimes when you're going live. You don't know when it's going to happen. But welcome to our Baxter Professional Services page and our Nurse Shark Academy page. We're glad that you're here. So I am just going to leave our last inspirational quote as we get ready for our news today. And it says, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." That's a quote by Plato. These are the quotes from the Inspirational Daily Calendar by Lauren Dratch. And we'll be having some more information come out. So, I wanted to mention today we have a few announcements before we get into the news, but very excited for those of you that are in the Nurse Shark Academy. We do have our challenge starting next week. I want to start with that. Let's start there. The Kickstart 2024 challenge starts next Wednesday. There's still time for you to get registered. There's still time for you to get the VIP. This is why you want to be VIP, because what we're going to do is the information that we get, that we present on that hour before at 11 o'clock Eastern, we're going to then go back behind the stage and workshop it. We're going to get it right then and there. We're going to get together. We're going to workshop it together so that by the end of this 3-day challenge, you will have everything ready to kickstart your 2024. So everything that we learned that day, we're going to immediately put it into action. And so that VIP ticket is for those people that want to take action now and be ready to start your 2024. So very excited about that. So I did want to start off with those announcements. And then the other announcement is we do have our Freedom Finance Workshop will be coming up again as well. So we've got that coming up next month. So we're kicking off 2024 with that. We also have our quick launch business workshop, which will be January the 2nd. That's at 11 o'clock. So you can sign up for that. And that, if you're ready to launch your business right now, January, you're ready to get started, that's the event that you want to be in. That's the workshop you want to attend, because we're going to get started right away. And we're actually going to work together on those things in that workshop. And then we have our Freedom Finance Workshop is coming up on in January as well. So I wanted to bring those things out to you. Go to the NurseSharkAcademy.biz to get that information and sign up for our 3-day challenge that's coming up next week. So those are exciting things that are happening. But also the thing that we have is that we do have our new journals available for you for purchase. I just got the new journal in. And this is our business success journal. And what it is, you get a chance, you can put your name on it, and it has the pages in here that you can write down your journal and your success and what's happening with your business, any ideas that you have. It's a great one place to put it in there. So these journals are available on our website at the NurseSharkAcademy.biz. So that's available too. So we do have some new merchandise there. You also find our new trainings and things like that, videos, past content, all that's there for you on the NurseSharkAcademy.biz. Now, for those of you that are interested in our health education programs like our CNA training and our first aid and CPR and TB, that's on our Baxter Professional Services health education page, and that information is available to you. We just had our last CPR class for the year. This was going to be our last one. We're not doing another one until next year, but at our last TB class, we've just completed that for this year. So get on the schedule, because we do have classes scheduled in January. We also have information sessions for the CNA training program. So if you're interested in that program, there's information sessions, and you can find that on the Baxter Professional Services Health Education.com website. Okay, now that we have all those things taken care of, let's go ahead and get into our news. All right, here's our first story. This brought me back, okay, because this happened in a couple places that I worked starting out as a CNA, but this is coming out of Boston, and it says 25 investigates workers spent weeks awaiting a Roxbury nursing home paycheck. So it says workers at Benjamin Healthcare Center in Roxbury spent their Tuesday afternoon awaiting late paychecks that took weeks to finally arrive. Not days, weeks. The roughly 55 employees of the 4-star nonprofit home last got a paycheck the day before Thanksgiving. That's according to 2 workers who spoke to 25 Investigates on Tuesday. The nursing home CEO, Ted Francis, initially said workers would get paid last Friday. 25 Investigates obtained a copy of a notice to employees that said they would get paid by manual checks by 2 p.m. on Tuesday. But by 5 p.m., workers said they were still waiting for their paychecks. In a series of emails, Francis, the CEO, says he was signing the checks. He's signing checks now. I said at 3:14. He was printing the checks and signing as quickly as possible at 4:43. By 5:30 p.m., 2 employees told 25 Investigates they finally got their paychecks. They said their next checks are due Friday, and they hope those will be on time. The employees said as they awaited their paychecks, Francis announced their pay would shift from weekly to bi-weekly. Workers also said they're worried about the well-being of roughly 80 residents who live at the home as unpaid workers call out. The state AG and Department of Public Health have said that they are aware of the ongoing pay issue. Union leaders say they're closely monitoring. This is a very bad time for this to happen. Obviously, it's Christmas time, and I'm pretty sure there's probably some things that are going on behind the scenes, but hopefully they'll be getting their paychecks, they'll be getting them on time, because with that story, that leads me to our next story, which was pretty sad, pretty sad and awfully scary. And this was published on multiple news outlets, but I happen to get this one from NPR, so from Indiana Public Radio. And it says a St. Louis nursing home, which happened to be the largest nursing home, apparently, closes suddenly, prompting wider concerns over care. So it says the Northview Village nursing home shut down without warning Friday afternoon, displacing about 170 residents of the St. Louis facility. The privately owned housing housed aging adults, people with disabilities, and others seeking rehabilitative care, including mental health services. Administrators told employees shortly before 3 p.m. Friday that the owners did not have funding to make payroll. Carol Hawthorne, a registered nurse at the facility, told the St. Louis Public Radio. The sudden closure is raising serious questions and renewing long-standing concerns over care facilities and the steep challenges families and frontline workers face in the nation's care system. The nursing home transported residents to several facilities, some without their families' knowledge. So this is again another scary situation. You have your loved one in a facility, hoping that they will be safe, and yet they send them somewhere where you don't know where they're going. Many residents were forced to leave without their belongings. St. Louis Mayor Tishaura Jones spoke at a rally with unionized workers from the nursing home outside of the facility on Tuesday. She's condemning the sudden closure. The owners of Northview Village should be ashamed of their abrupt decision to displace hundreds of residents and frontline workers who care for them. Employees say they learned that they would not receive paychecks just hours before the closure. The Service Employees International Union represents about 100 workers from the nursing home, including nurses, health aides, cooks, and housekeepers. Marvetta Harrison, a certified medical technician, has worked for Northview Village for 37 years. She says the fact that they didn't tell us that they were going to close shows how little they respect us and how little they care for the residents who count on us to care for them. We will keep fighting for the compensation, severance pay, and paid time off that we are owed. Northview Village is owned by Healthcare Accounting Services, LLC, Federal Records show. NPR reached out to the business on today, Wednesday. Medicare had given Northview a 1 star out of 5, meaning it's much below average. Lenny Jones, the SEIU Healthcare Missouri State Director, said the facility's owners have uprooted the lives of hundreds of workers and residents without warning, and they should be accountable for their appalling actions. This is kind of crazy. It's this is out of the blue. So it says groups that advocate for aging adults, people with disabilities, family caregivers, and support workers say sudden closure of care facilities are happening more often, and we're starting to see that across the country. So as these things are happening, I too want to be able to report them, and I'll let you know what's going on so that you can be aware of what's happening in our healthcare system. So there's more about this, and of course the ongoing new CMS regulations that are happening about staffing. So I wanted to see what was going on here in this particular facility, and it says that the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services are investigating the closure. They have also told NPR that they can't comment on the ongoing investigation. They did say that they received the notification of the unfolding situation Friday afternoon as the facility was removing residents from the property. So the facility operators were working to implement their emergency evacuation plan, and local EMS assisted with the relocation of approximately 170 residents. That's a lot of residents. It's a big facility, 170 residents. That's a big facility. So again, we're going to have to see what happens with this in this story, but I just want to let you know this is sort of a breaking news. It's happened on Friday, and it's been making the rounds. And so, yeah, that's got to be a tough situation for everybody. And I feel for those residents and also for those family members and workers there who, been there and now they've been told, hey, by the way, you did all the work, but you're not getting paid. Yeah, that's just wrong. Okay, so let's go on to this next story because this is, and again, I'm not picking on nursing homes, but this is what's in the news. So I just report what's happening in the news. This is coming out of Pittsburgh. This is the Pittsburgh Post Gazette. And it says two Western Pennsylvania nursing homes, but not the officials, were convicted of health fraud. So this story has made the rounds also in Associated Press. And so you can definitely take a look at these articles here. But it says a 5-week federal trial ended in a split verdict Monday when a jury convicted two nursing homes of healthcare fraud, but acquitted the officials in charge at the time of the fraud. The two facilities found guilty are Brighton Rehabilitation and Wellness in Beaver County and Mount Lebanon Rehabilitation and Wellness. Both facilities are managed by Comprehensive Healthcare Management Services. It says 5 employees were also charged in connection with the fraud. You had Sam Halper, who is the CEO and co-owner of both facilities, Eva Hamilton, Brighton's former director of nursing, Susan Gilbert, a Mount Lebanon administrator, Michelle Romeo, a CHMS manager, and Johanna Haller, Brighton's director of social services and CMHS manager. So these are the individuals that were involved, the leadership at the nursing homes. The jury exonerated all of any individual charges. So that is obviously good news for the people that work for these entities. But let's get into it. So Brighton Rehab the facility was found guilty of 5 counts of falsifying records to obstruct a federal investigation and 1 count of healthcare fraud. Mount Lebanon Rehab as a whole was found guilty of 3 counts of falsifying records to obstruct a federal investigation and 1 count of falsifying medical records. They said the jurors were presented about 400 pieces of evidence and nearly 3 dozen witnesses over the course of the trial. This would have been an interesting trial to watch. It says the sweeping August 2022 indictment detailed years of Medicaid and Medicare fraud, all in the name of increased profits with no extra work. So according to investigators, the scheme was 2-pronged. In one, employees at the nursing facilities were accused of doctoring records to make it look like they had enough staff on duty to meet state requirements. So here's what I want to say right here. If you're working and you're a nurse, DON, or whoever in the facility, and they're asking you to do things that are illegal and unethical, don't do it, because, again, this impacts your license and what you're going to be able to do. So you want to make sure that you protect yourself and not get yourself into trouble. So according to this, they said the records listed employees as working when they were on lunch breaks or weren't even in the building. In the second prong, investigators accused staff of manipulating patients' medical records to boost Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements. So I'm not exactly sure how or why they did this, and so there's more obviously to this. I haven't had a chance to look at any of the court proceedings, but again, that makes it quite interesting to see what they have accused of in this federal case. And so the facilities themselves have been found guilty. However, the individuals were let go, which, I don't have the trial transcripts to know all of what's happening there, but certainly that's something, if you're in that area, look it up and find out, let me know more. Okay, so let's get to this one. Yeah, I want to talk about this one. There's a couple other cases I want to talk about, but this one I found interesting. And this is, again, when I go back to, you have to be careful and be vigilant of what's going on around you. And I'm encouraging some of these facilities to really rethink their safety protocols when it comes to resident safety in long-term care, because these incidents happen and they don't get reported. So I'm going to report this because I want you to have the opportunity to, if you're in Atlanta and I've got family in that area, hey, if you guys are watching and you guys see this guy, help him find his family, or help his family find him. So a man has been missing for over 2 weeks after a stranger checked him out of a DeKalb nursing home. So it says family members say Anthony Lamar Morgan has been missing since December the 2nd. Morgan was checked out of the Pruitt Health Rehabilitation Center by a man named John Bridges. His family said Bridges checked him out of the facility under false pretenses. He claimed to be Morgan's uncle, but they are not related, and no one in Morgan's family knows who Bridges is. Morgan has not been in contact with any of his friends or family since leaving the facility. Morgan's right leg has been amputated and he has a prosthetic leg. His family says he cannot survive without his medication, and he did not take them with him when he left the facility. So he left the facility in a white or light colored Hyundai, and they're asking that if you know any whereabouts of Morgan or Bridges to contact Detective Mathis at 770-724-7734. So I wanted to share that information because, again, I have family who watch our show who are out of Atlanta area, and just look for Mr. Anthony Lamar Morgan Sr., who may be accompanied and with John Bridges. And this individual may be in danger because he does not have his medication and he is a recent amputee. So I'm leaving that up to you all to help find this gentleman. Okay. All right. Let's get on to this next story. This is a case I'm just flummoxed by how some of these things happen. But again, nurses, stay on your A game. Stay on your A game. So this is coming from WFMJ. And it says, nurse accused of ignoring lice infestation on Youngstown Care Center patient. This is coming out of Ohio. An expired license plate led to the arrest of a nurse facing charges for allegedly ignoring the lice infestation of a patient at a Youngstown nursing home. Poland Village police officer pulled over a car for an expired plate on Friday, only to discover that the 46-year-old driver was wanted by authorities for patient neglect and gross patient neglect. According to an affidavit filed by a special agent with the Ohio Attorney General's office, Robin Yurechko, who was a registered nurse at Canfield Road Care Facility in October 2021, when she failed to document or treat a lice infestation or an ear wound on a patient who had been entrusted in her care. The affidavit says that the alleged neglect led to the patient being harmed. It would be nearly 2 years that Arico would be charged with misdemeanors in order to appear in a Youngstown municipal court. When Yurechko failed to show up for her October 11th hearing date, a warrant was issued by the judge. After spending part of the past weekend in jail, she was arraigned on Monday. She is free on $2,000 bond and faces another court hearing in February. So again, I'm just saying, nurses, you've got to do your job. You've got to stay on top. You can't be lax, because it can come back to bite you. So these are things that if you see things, you have to document, you have to report them, you have to follow what you're supposed to do, or otherwise there could be dire consequences, which is why I share these stories, because people make mistakes, things happen, but this seemed to be an egregious mistake and an act of neglect. And so we'll see what happens with the story. And if there's anything else that comes out of it, I'll let you know. But I bring that up because I want us to be thinking about what we do. All right, so let's get on to a couple more things. I want to get to this story. This is from Go Local Prov, and this is in Rhode Island. And this is talking about violence at Rhode Island's hospitals. Now, we've talked about the issues that have happened in New York and other places with the violence, and I think in Washington, the violence against workers in psychiatric facilities, etc. Well, here again, we have another story about violence in hospitals, and this is coming from Rhode Island. It says the head of the Rhode Island Nurses Association is calling for systemic change after the latest incidents of violence against nurses in the state this week. According to Donna Policastro, make that a little bit bigger. There we go. Yes, Policastro, who's the executive director of the Rhode Island State Nurses Association, says we're losing nurses and we can't afford this. People are leaving the profession for fear of violence. 2 nurses were assaulted in separate incidents at Miriam Hospital in Providence overnight, following multiple assaults on nurses reported at a Rhode Island hospital this fall. Policastro goes on to say, the only way to stop is to change our mental health system. where patients go when they have these issues and change in protocols. We need workplace safety in place for workers and appropriate consequences. Lifespan, where the most recent episode of violence against nurses occurred at Rhode Island Hospital and Miriam Hospital, did not respond to requests for comment. So, nationally, roughly 3 in 4 non-fatal workplace violence injuries involves workers in healthcare and social work in 2020, the most recent year for which statistics are available. The frequency of injuries from workplace violence in healthcare has risen almost every year since 2011, reaching 10.4 out of 10,000 full-time workers in 2018, up to 62% from 6.4 per 10,000 in 2011. As far as the hospitals are concerned, Pentecostal says they face a difficult situation. Anytime police and fire pick up someone who appears to be in crisis, they take them to the emergency room and they're overwhelmed. They're trying to educate their staff on how to deal with all these mental health issues, and lack of staff is one issue. She says, I can personally tell you on Labor Day, I was in ER. I wanted to identify which one, and there were no beds. So I was waiting in the ER with parties waiting to be triaged with mental health issues. So there's an article that was published in the Nurses Journal this past month that says how to keep nurses and patients safe amid rising workplace violence, detailing safety protocols that hospitals can put in place. And so one of those things was to look at missed security checks through employee and community engagement, administration, and technology. Other protocols in place include the safety of staff, including metal detectors, which I've talked about, having ID checkpoints, flagging patient charts, creating de-escalation teams, training teams on how to deal with difficult family members as a nurse or other healthcare staff, identifying risk and security, maintaining police presence in hospitals and facilities, limiting entrances and exits, and organizing gun violence campaigns. And so I'm a big advocate for this. I work in mental health. That's one of the things that I've often said we need to do better. Obviously, we don't want to stigmatize people. We don't want to, but we also work in an area that is high risk, and we need to be aware of that. And there's things that we need to do to affect change. So I've been a big proponent for safety for staff, and also for the lawful prosecution of those people that assault staff. I'm sorry, but yes. And if Grandpa had decided to go out drinking and lose it that day, and he assaults somebody, he needs to be held accountable for that. And that's how I feel about that. So I will not apologize for that, because as a nurse who has been hit, kicked, hair pulled, boobs grabbed, butt grabbed, working, yeah, I'm going to definitely advocate for safety. So there's more information that's happening here in Rhode Island. And if you want to hear more about this article, please check that out and look that up. But we're going to move on in the interest of time. So we're going to get to this article. Just a bit on the AI. We've kind of talked about this before, and I wanted to bring this up. But there are lawsuits that are pending now because of the use of the AI tool by health insurance company to process claims. And this is something we talked about last week, so I wanted to follow up. And this is coming from Money Watch. And it says the growing use of artificial intelligence by health insurance industry faces mounting legal challenges, with patients claiming that insurers are using the technology to wrongly deny coverage for essential medical services. The complaints, which take aim at health insurers United Health Care and Humana, have sparked fears that AI's integration in the health insurance sector will drive up coverage claims denials, preventing chronically ill and elderly patients from receiving quality medical care. And so we talked last week about the use of doctors that have had issues with their license as being part of the reviewer, and then also in that that they may be reviewing cases outside of their specialty where they really don't know the ins and out of that, so they're making decisions based on that. So that's a separate issue. But then we've also talked about the role of AI in medical care, and this is one of those instances where, excuse me, you may be denied your care because you didn't fit some sort of algorithm. So here's what it says. A class action lawsuit was filed on December the 12th, alleges that the health insurer Humana used an AI model called NH Predict to wrongfully deny medically necessary care for elderly and disabled patients covered under Medicare Advantage, a Medicare approved plan run by private insurance. Another lawsuit filed last month alleges United Healthcare also used the NH Predict to reject claims despite knowing that roughly 90% of the tool's denials on coverage were faulty, overriding determinations by patient physicians that the expenses were medically necessary. And as a person who has to do prior authorizations, yeah, it's a nightmare. Of course, Humana and the others really didn't want to comment on it because of pending litigation, and United Healthcare did not respond. So, NH Predicts is a computer program created by Navi Health, a subsidiary of United Healthcare. So, let's stop right here. I want you to stop and think about this. What did I just say? The computer program was created by a company which is owned by United Healthcare, the company that it services. Okay? So just stop and think on that for a moment. So this program then develops personalized care recommendations for ill or injured patients based on, quote, real world experience, data, and analytics, according to its website, which notes that the tool is, quote, not used to deny care or to make coverage determinations. But recent litigation is challenging that last claim, alleging that the NH Predict AI model determines Medicare Advantage patients' coverage criteria in post-acute care settings with rigid and unrealistic predictions for recovery. Both United Healthcare and Humana are being accused of instituting policies to ensure that coverage determinations are made based on output from NH Predict's algorithmic decision making. So again, that is another instance where the use of AI has already come into the medical arena. And so those of you who are saying, oh, it won't come for me. Yeah, it's already coming for you. It's already coming for you. So according to David Lipschutz, who's a lawyer who advocates for Medicare patients, says he's seeing more frequent and inappropriate insurance claim denials this year. The changes coincide with the adoption of AI by health insurance companies to determine coverage for Medicare patients. He says, in our experience, the use of these algorithmic tools has led to more denials or premature terminations of coverage for things that otherwise would be covered. In 2021, insurers denied nearly 1 in 5 claims they received, up from several years earlier. Still, it's impossible to know whether insurers' AI tools are directly responsible for the rise in claim rejections, according to Lipschutz, as insurance companies aren't legally required to disclose the reasons behind their coverage decisions. Publicly available data on insurers' claim reviews processes is scant, making it difficult to determine what's driving up the denials. So we'll keep an eye on this article. There's certainly more in there, but you can certainly take a look at that. All right. So let's get to this last story. We're going to do another follow-up, and I think we've come to the latest of the fallout in the Operation Nightingale from the fake nursing degree fraud case. So 3 of those individuals in the multi-state nursing degree fraud case have been found guilty. After a 3-week trial, a federal jury found 3 people guilty of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud charges for their involvement in a multi-state nursing degree fraud case. On December 15th, a federal jury in Fort Lauderdale found defendants Gail Russ, registrar for Palm Beach School of Nursing in Lake Worth, Cassandra Jean, owner and operator of Success Nursing Review in Brooklyn, New York, and Villar Darasso, owner and operator of the Center for Advanced Training and Studies in West Orange, New Jersey, guilty for their involvement in a scheme to sell fraudulent nursing degree diplomas and transcripts. The U.S. Department of Justice said the defendants and 11 other co-defendants obtained the fraudulent diplomas and degrees that at one time were approved by the state of Florida to issue diplomas and transcripts to individuals seeking licenses and jobs as registered nurses and licensed practical or vocational nurses. The DOJ said the diplomas and transcripts allowed the buyers to participate in the National Nursing Board exam and after passing it to obtain licenses and jobs in various states as RNs and LPNs or LVNs. The overall scheme involved the distribution of more than 7,600 fake nursing diplomas by Palm Beach School of Nursing and Quisqueya School of Nursing, LLC in Palm Beach County. These schools are now closed due to the excessive failure rates of their students taking the state nursing board exam. Those nursing applicants who passed the NCLEX using their falsified diplomas to obtain RN and LPN and licenses and nursing jobs with unwitting healthcare providers throughout the United States. An additional 11 defendants entered guilty pleas to conspiracy to commit wire fraud. In total, 27 defendants were charged and convicted in 2023 for participating in the nurse diploma fraud scheme known as Operation Nightingale. So you will see that, yep, there's more that's coming out of that. So as that continues to develop, and if anything else comes up, I'll certainly let you know. But that is the latest in the development of that case, which we have been following pretty much most of the year. And then lastly, for our Nurses Making a Difference segment, I want to say, nurses, we all make a difference every day. And it's proven because in the latest Gallup poll, nurses are first, doctors a distant second in healthcare provider ratings. At the end of the year, when Gallup found Americans' confidence in the U.S. medical system at its lowest in a decade, a new survey reveals that some prominent players in the system are still widely acclaimed while others are not. Nurses receive the best rating by far, with 82% saying they provide excellent or good medical care, and doctors rank second at 69%. Smaller majorities feel positive about the care provided by hospitals at 58%, walk-in or urgent clinics at 56%, and telemedicine or virtual doctors at 52%. Meanwhile, less than half of Americans give positive ratings to the four remaining healthcare entities measured: hospital emergency rooms, 47%, pharmaceutical or drug companies, 33%, health insurance companies, 31%, and nursing homes, 25%. The results are from the Gallup's 2023 Health and Healthcare Survey conducted November 1st through the 21st. Most adults not rating the top scoring providers' care as well as emergency room care as excellent or generally rated only fair, while no more than 11% rated poor. However, pharmaceutical companies, health insurance companies, and nursing homes, their ratings are rated from 32% to 37% as higher than those rating them only fair. Consistent with American skepticism about nursing home care, a West Health Gallup poll conducted early this year found 7 in 10 Americans resisted living in a nursing home should they ever become unable to care for themselves, with most citing skepticism about the quality of care as their top reason. Nurses top the rank among healthcare providers underscores the premier position among U.S. occupations generally. In Gallup's annual Honesty and Ethics Professions ratings, most recently in December 2022, nurses led the list of 18 professions rated, with 79% of Americans saying that they had very high or high honesty and ethical standards. Medical doctors ranked second at 62%. The pharmaceutical industry's lower ranking among healthcare entities aligns with its position among all major industries in the country. Gallup's August measure of 25 U.S. business and industry sectors found that the pharmaceutical industry rated last, with just 18% holding a positive view of it, 60% a negative view, and 25% feeling neutral about it. So again, I'm going to say, yep, we rank high on the scores. Great. Let's turn that into helping us out with safer staffing, safety measures, better wages. Yeah, help a nurse out. All right, that's it for our news today. Congratulations to nurses yet again, getting the top marks there. I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't forget that we have our show coming up next week. We'll be here back for our nursing news that you can use at 5 o'clock. We also have our podcast on the Nurse Shark Academy show on our YouTube channel and Podbean and other places where you get your podcast. So tune in and listen to our great nurses that are talking about what they're doing in their business. And then also, we have coming up next week is our Kickstart 2024 challenge. So join in to the challenge. Get your ticket today. No cost to get your ticket, your complimentary ticket. But if you want to get into the VIP access, just sign up and register. Go to the nursesharkacademy.biz and sign up today. That's it for me. Thank you for tuning in, and apologize for the technical difficulties, but we did get it worked out, and we'll see you next time.